Yeah, okay. Hey, we're live, everybody. I'm going to go share this on a couple different streams here real fast, so just hang tight. Let's go. Let me find ourselves. Tonight, it's Monday night. So you know what we do on Mondays, right? We're breaking down the strategy of the week for last week. Let me make sure I'm sharing this correctly. Okay? Pay no attention to the short-haired dude. Hey, Rusty, what's up, man? Hey, hang out, man. Tonight we're going deep, so stick around. Jose Garza, stick around. We're going deep. I'm just sharing the stream. Don't go anywhere. Don't go Hey, hold still. Okay, hold on. Here we go. Share. Cardone. No. Okay, shared that on the timeline. I think I'm starting to watch party. What's up, Chris Carter? Yo, says Chris Carter. Okay, so we got a couple folks joining us. I'm going to make sure that this gets out and about, that this is being shared correctly. Share to a page. Share. Okay, I think it's shared. Yeah. All right. So who caught Grant's strategy of the week? Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for posting. Did you guys all read it? Did you check it out? Did you get something out of it? Because if you didn't, I want to encourage you highly. I'm doing a watch party. Okay. I want to encourage you to go watch this video. Now, here's the story. Okay, let me just close this real fast. Okay. It's distracting. Check this out. Notes. Lots of them. Okay. So if you saw it, great. Nick Briggs, what's up, man? If you saw it, if you read it, we published it as the highlights of it we published on Grant's blog. But Jarrod and Grant sat down for about an hour and just Jarrod picks his brain. So what I got out of it, I've been with Grant since 2011. I've been studying his content since 2003, and I've got copious amounts of notes here. And here's the deal. So here's what I want you guys thinking with. When I first started following Grant in 2003, there was an audio program I was listening to. It was called GC Live. It was a live Cardone workshop. I'm listening to it every morning in the car on the way to work, every morning on the way home. And then on my days off, I'd like listen to it and I'd take notes and I'd like, man, I'm a deep dive on this stuff, right? And there were times where I felt like, hey, Michelle, there were times I'm listening to this thing and I was like, dude, is this guy like following me around or something? Are there secret Cardone cameras hidden in my life? Because it felt like, for the most part, a lot of times, I'm like, man, this dude's talking to me. And I don't know if you've had that experience listening to Cardone before, whether it's a live workshop that you have on audio, or even if you're on Cardone University right now and you're watching a video and you're like, this dude's talking to me, right? And I don't know if that's been your experience, but it certainly was mine, especially when I first started listening to it. And so, and obviously he wasn't following you around, at least I don't think so. But, you know, what I guess the real impact it had for me on what it meant for me was that I finally realized that I'm not alone, that all of the challenges that Grant talks about that salespeople face, that all of the solutions that are available, that I'm not the only dude going through all this stuff, right? My first couple of months in the car, in sales, man, I was struggling. And so when I finally got this stuff, I'm like, man, this sounds like this guy's been following me around. This guy's speaking to me. Like, here's the answers. And what it meant most importantly was that I'm not alone. So when you go watch this interview with Jarrod and Grant and you listen to it, the reason I'm giving you all that is what I want you to do is be very, very open to and listen to what does Jarrod and Grant have to say to you in this interview. So I'm going to break down all the different things that I got out of it and what it did for me, and what I feel like, what I can bring to you to add value to this entire interview. It's about 1 hour and 7 minutes long, but man, it is worth the 1 hour and 7. Took me probably 3 hours to go through it though, because I kept hitting pause, taking notes back and forth. So I'm going to give you the best as much as I can. I'm going to like rapid fire it off because, again, a lot of notes. Okay, so number one, first thing I started picking up on, what is the deal? I can't do a Jerry Seinfeld impression, so I won't, but like, what is the deal with the haters? So I'm going to do this like a newscast. I got my notes just like a newscaster back in the day before teleprompters. Okay. People start hating on people. This is why they do it. There's two reasons, I think. They start hating on people when they see somebody doing something that they know they should be doing, but for whatever reason they're not, or they're not allowing themselves to do it. And so they're gonna respond by hating on them. And then for others, I think it actually hurts them to see other people working at their potential, or at least towards it, or for it, or striving to hit their full potential. And I think it hurts them because they're not, right? And so it becomes very easy to start having some resentment, and that like stimulates the hate. For others, though, I think they're literally threatened by success. And what does that mean? It means this. It means that they're operating from a place of limits and shortages. They feel like there's only one pie. They don't have the forward thinking to be like, hey, if we run out of pie, we can make more, right? So when they start seeing somebody else winning, they believe that that particular person is getting more of their piece of the pie. Consequently, it's almost as if somebody's stealing from you, and nobody likes when you get stuff stolen from. So the response immediately is hate. So the good news is that when you start picking up on the haters, what does it mean? It should be for you an indication that you are moving in the right direction. So what I find, Grant talks a lot about this in the 10X rule. He even talks about it in Sell or Be Sold. But what I find to be so liberating is that when you start picking up on haters, typically a lot of people, what they do is they contract, they move away from that. But the reality is that maybe you just need to step on the gas and get some more. And that's a very, very hard thing because nobody likes antagonism, right? But that leads to the next thing. So we understand, so we get a little bit of a breakdown of what the deal is with haters. But then what's with all the work? So I've seen this the entire time I've been following him since 2003. Okay, started working for him in 2011. I've seen consistently people railing on him for working too hard. He's been accused all day long for being a workaholic, if there is such a thing. But Grant says this in the interview. He says, I feel best when I'm contributing. Okay, so if the reason you're going to hate work is if whatever your work is has no contribution, or you certainly haven't been able to tie it to any bigger contribution. So if you have a problem with work, I'm just going to tell you this, then you have a problem with life. Life is a game. Work is play. I'm just going to say that again because a lot of people are going to be like, no, you're on crack. No, life is a game. Work is play. Your workspace is your playground. Grant says that in the interview. This should be very liberating to you, especially if you feel like you hate work. If you're just looking to retire. I hear that all the time. It's insane. So what you need to do is have a shift and think where you can get to a place. You got to figure out what you need to do in order to do this. But like for you, that's on you. But like you got to get to a place to where you start feeling like work is not work, work is play. And if you look at people that are at these high levels of success, and let's just go easy example, actors, like the big one, the famous ones. But even if you get paid to be an actor, whether that's on stage or in front of a camera, like literally for you, work is play. But if you've ever worked on a film set, you bust your ass. You work some long ass hours. You stay up till ungodly hours of the day and night, minimal rest, minimal sleep. And you got to, when the camera light goes on, man, you need to be there. It is hard work, but they're playing and nobody's complaining about it. They love it. What's up, Kevin? Derek Alexander, thank you for being here. So what I found, so I'm just going to stack this hater thing and the work thing because the two tend to go hand in hand. Jarrod says to Grant, he says, you have like a zero scarcity mindset. So like for me, I just immediately start thinking about, dude, where is my scarcity mindset? Like how strong is it? Where did I learn it? How can I unwind it if I have it? And that's for you too. So you start thinking about, man, where do I start? Where do I immediately start thinking in terms of limits, shortages, scarcity, only one piece of pie? I mean, look, if you just take a look at money, for example, we're not going to run out. If we start running low, the government prints more. It's called inflation, right? So like there is no shortage of anything, right? And if you like the whole universe, it's abundant. It's still going that the Big Bang's still happening. It hasn't stopped. So like there's plenty. There's more than enough. So there's no limits, there's no shortages, and like you just got to figure out what you need to do to like not have that. If that makes any sense. I mean, that's what I'm working on. Start identifying as soon as I feel like I'm coming from a place of limits or shortages, or man, you can't do that. Yeah, it should be a red flag. It should be like an alarm goes off. So you need to have like the shortage trigger, something. Okay, so then Jarrod asked Grant after that, makes this very clear statement. You have zero scarcity mindset. Okay, that's something we all should be working towards. He then says, what do you wish people knew about you as a business owner? And I thought this was an amazing response. Because he didn't really have one right away. And I was starting to get disappointed. Like at first it looked like we weren't going to get the answer. And so Grant says the reason he's having a hard time answering that question is he didn't think anybody was going to believe him. And so like I said, I started getting like a little bit disappointed, but the good news is it shows up in Grant literally talking about just being you, like just being yourself. He says, and I quote, sometimes you can't be yourself yet because you haven't figured out who you are yet. And I like the fact that he used yet twice. I don't know if that was intentional or just him off the cuff, but yet. He says, he then goes on to say, anytime I've strayed from me, okay, yeah, he says, so anytime I've strayed from me, and that's a little bit back to your question about what would I want people to know. So now I start getting the answer. He goes, look, I'm just trying to be me. I'm just trying to be me. So if I'm going to give you guys any homework, I'm going to throw like some little things you can do to like really just dial this in. The first exercise I'd have you to take with you on this was when you get to that place in the interview, maybe later tonight, maybe tomorrow morning, just really spend some time and look back at a time where you've tried to be someone else other than you, and it did more harm than good. Totally backfired. Totally blew up in your face, right? If you're in sales, how has that cost you deals, right? I learned this lesson the hard way. And when I started dialing into Grant, and I didn't make it mine yet, but I'll just tell you the fastest way to piss off a customer is to do your best Grant Cardone impression. Period. You totally screw the deal up. Because you're not Grant. Grant's Grant. You need to be you. Okay? We'll talk about how to leverage. Let me turn that off. We'll talk about how to leverage the content and then make it yours in a minute. That actually comes up in the conversation. But for right now, just think about a time where you tried to be somebody else and that just didn't work for you at all. Totally blew up in your face. So for me, it was 2000, like early 2004, and I'm trying to sell a car, and I'm doing this whole Cardone thing. Not the Dave thing with Cardone stuff, but I'm like, I think I even had a little bit of an accent. It's embarrassing, but I think, it didn't work. And I recognized it as it was happening. I'm like, dude, you got to be you right now. So I didn't save the deal. I lost the deal. Pissed the guy off. But I started listening to the content from a different perspective now. How do I make this mine? How do I come at it? How do I understand it, learn it, and then make it mine? So how do you find out who you are? It's a logical question, right? Be you. But if you don't know who that is yet, how do you find out who you are? So the questions that I want to ask you right now, just to give you something to think with, because I started thinking about this, is like, what would your life be like if you were finally super comfortable in the skin jacket you're wearing right now, right? How will you feel when you own yourself completely. What could you do if you became super confident about everything? So Grant goes on to say, you got to find out who you are. You got to find out who you are, and all the stuff that you don't like doing is probably the shovel you need to pick up and start digging. So when Grant says pay the price today so you can pay any price tomorrow, he's not limiting that to money. You know what the outcome looks like. So you can see what that looks like, right? You can see what your potential looks like and what your life will be like. But to get there, you have a price to pay. And that price is typically doing a bunch of stuff that you don't want to do that you're not comfortable with. I'm going to lose viewers right now. Watch. Just because I'm starting to call people out about getting uncomfortable, right? I did. I just lost one. So look, discomfort per Grant and me and a lot of other people, David Goggins. Discomfort is where you meet the real you and where you release the real you through the discomfortable actions and behaviors. That's where the real you comes out. That's where you literally peel off the skin jacket and the real you can come out and play. So exercise number 2 is this. What can you start doing daily that would get you uncomfortable and then help you release that real you? So here's 3 ideas that if you're in business or in sales, exercise, like physically exercise, okay, role play, and make cold calls. All 3 of these things exercise your brain, get you incredibly uncomfortable, and make you grow. So how do you find ways to incorporate those into your daily routine? Again, on you. But if you don't have time for it, it just means you haven't made it a priority yet. No time equals no priority, period. Okay. So this is also how you gain an immediate competitive advantage. Why? Because your competition, for the most part, is comfortable and they like it that way. And they're not getting out of their comfort zone. Okay. So if you recognize that they have one and that they're in it, take advantage of it. Leverage it. Okay. You make the cold calls. All right. You start role playing. You start working out. Okay. Because they're not. So here's some examples from Grant's own personal life. When he was in his mid to late 20s, he trained every day for 50 minutes on a topic he's admitted more than once he didn't even like. But he knew it was vital to his success. So if we go back to exercise, role playing, and cold calling, these are things you may not like, but are vital to your success. So start doing them. When Grant was then 35, he starts reading Barron's and the Wall Street Journal to learn more about finance. And he compared it to trying to read a foreign language. Like if I handed you Russian right now, or Chinese, or Arabic, like even the letters look different. You're like, what am I going to do with this thing? So, but ultimately, at some point, if you stay at it, you'll figure it out. Maybe you'll go get a dictionary and you can start translating. Like there's some things involved, but it's hard, it's uncomfortable, and there's a high suck factor. But that's where the growth is. No growth is you're not going to grow in your comfort zone. Period. Okay. So the ability to push through when you want to quit, it's a skill. The ability to push through and be and stay and function in discomfort, it's a skill. Okay. Ironically, as Grant's talking about this, he literally gives the formula for success with Cardone University, with the Closer's Survival Guide. In fact, with any Cardone product, the formula to succeed and get the most out of that product is threefold. Learn the material as it is. This is where I screwed up. Okay. Learn the material as it is. Go get some wins with it. And then start creating your own variations. Number one, I didn't learn the material as it is. That was my mistake. I tried to be like Grant, which was the second mistake. And then the third one was I didn't know it well enough that I could go play within the space. But when I made that switch, so for example, handling the spouse stall, it was a killer for me. I memorized it. I drilled it. Started using it as it is, word for word, not like Grant, but as Dave, but I started using it as it is, word for word. And then I got really, really good at it. Not only did the objection become easier when somebody dropped it on me, I was like, I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you brought it up. I was able to then play. Remember, work is play. Okay. So think about that. Number one, learn the material as it is, get some wins with it, and then create your own variations. That's the secret to winning on either Cardone University, any product that we have. So that's the third thing. If you're skipping that middle part where you get some wins with it as it is, it's gonna be a problem. So think about the Cardone products that you have right now and start. How do I start operating from that perspective? Learning the material as it is, getting wins with it, okay, and then creating your own variations. All right. So that's exercise number 3. Okay. Keep in mind though, that's not. Just a quick disclaimer, that is not how you train a sales team. That's you as an individual getting better with our product, or any product for that matter, but obviously have ours too. So but that's you that's how to study it and how to make it work for you. Okay. There's a whole different deal for team training. If you want more on that, go to cardonesolutions.com/10x your team, full explanation there. However, this does lead to confidence, okay? When you start as an individual, you learn the material as it is, you get some wins with it, you start creating your own variations. When you start doing those 3 things, you build confidence. And there's 2 main consequences of confidence, which I thought were awesome when Grant talks about this. Number 1, you don't need to copy other people's stuff. And then number 2, you don't need to attack others to build your brand. Okay? I don't even think we need to go any further on that, right? Let's just move into the next topic, which is, what is money? His answer was awesome. He says it's insurance and proof. What is money? Insurance and proof. Great answer. Fantastic. So what I like about Grant sometimes is the simplicity behind it that you have a hard time articulating. Like, I would take 3 paragraphs to explain what he said in 3 words: insurance and proof. Right? So the next thing he goes on to say is pay attention daily to your money. We've heard him talk about money's a jealous lover, and if you're not putting attention on it, it's going to go away. So here's your exercise. I would be the first to admit that I screw this up. Not anymore. I'm much, much better at it significantly. But listen, let us add looking at your money to your morning ritual. I don't know what kind of morning routine you have now. Hopefully you have one, but look at it. Look at it. Does it make you uncomfortable? Then that might be one of those other things that's like a good thing that we want to do about being uncomfortable. Look at your money every day. Did it go up? Did it increase? Did it go down? Did it stay the same? And if it stayed the same, technically it went down. Okay. If it didn't go up, why not? And then the question is, what will you do today to add to and hopefully multiply your money? So, and there's a side note and a warning to that, which is why anybody would suggest you ever that you should put your money away and then forget about it. Why would anybody make that suggestion? You've heard that, right? You've had financial planner people say, just put it over here and don't look at it. Just keep putting money over here. Keep putting money over here. Why do you not want me to look at my money? Right? That should also make you uncomfortable, but in the not good, uncomfortable way. Somebody suggests that to you. That's why. What's the mystery? So, speaking of money, Jarrod finally starts really pushing to get Grant to talk about net worth. How important is it anyway? Like, I know people Google that all the time. Like, we actually use that phrase to like get search ranking. It's like, it's there. Happens all the time. So, in fact, if you look at my blog post about this interview, like, it's Grant Cardone Net Worth 2020, and it's not even 2020 yet, because I know people are going to be hitting it, and I'm going to SEO that thing a little bit. Right? Don't tell Google. So when they finally get into it and they start bouncing some numbers around, I'm not going to tell you what the numbers were. You go look it up if it's important to you or not. But here's the deal. If you're worried about, this is what Grant says, if you're worried about your net worth, especially if you're worried about Grant's, your attention is on the wrong stuff, period. Marco, thank you for being here, man. Appreciate you popping in. If you're worried about Grant's net worth or your net worth, then your attention is on the wrong thing. Grant goes very much into his attention is on legacy, it's on the long game, and it's on cash flow, money coming in, right? Did it go up? Did it go down? Did it stay the same? Like, what's going on? He looks at all his different accounts and looks at it, confronts it daily. That's a good word, confront, okay? Confront your money daily. That's the lesson I'm taking from that, okay? Grant says this, I tell people what's true for me. It's interesting how the gurus, when they just tell the truth and what's true for them. And shouldn't that be how we all operate? And if you think about some of the bigger, higher gurus that everybody tends to emulate towards, or should, Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, right? These guys, they just told the truth. They told their truth. So the question should be, if you're made in that image, when did you stop telling the truth, telling your truth? When did you stop? Why? Why did you stop? That's important. And then who convinced you to? Want to cover that again? When did you stop telling your truth? Why did you stop telling your truth? And then who convinced you to stop? Okay. So speaking of money, speaking of truth, Grant then goes on to cover how to pay for shit. Okay. So when we talk about shit, we're talking about the bling bling or anything high ticket. He says, don't buy it if you can't buy it twice. He's talking about the watch on his arm. He was talking about the jet that he bought. Okay. Don't buy it if you can't buy it twice. I think that's fantastic. He says you also should pay for it with passive income. Now, for those of you thinking about doing some financial planning and setting some real financial goals, you should be thinking with, how do I create passive income? That's how you multiply money, right? I'm not going to go into that. If you haven't read the Millionaire booklet, you should. But he says pay for it with passive income, not earned income. And if you don't have any passive income, then you maybe want to just put, Jesse, what's up? Then you maybe just want to push pause on treating yourself to things until you can actually generate some passive income and use that as a goal setting tool. Okay. And you also need to recognize it's just a stupid purchase. He refers to the watch on his arm. I don't know what it cost. It was probably ridiculous. And he calls it that. He says it's stupid. It's the dumbest thing I ever bought. He says that. That's not me. That's him. So think about some things in your life that you've bought that, dumb. Okay. It's fine to do it, but don't do it unless you can do it twice, and set the goal to pay for it with passive income. Love that. Jarrod then goes into talking about how did Grant transition from what he was doing into building this Cardone empire 30 some odd years ago. How do you do it? So Jarrod asked the question, hey, so you're on the fence, you're thinking about doing this, you're thinking about jumping in, you're trying to do something different, you need to make a transition in your life. How do you do it? And this is anything. Business, personal, right? Physical, body, mind, spirit, anything. When it's time to transition, Grant says, quit thinking and do it. Okay, I overthink all the time. I have a t-shirt that says less thinking, more doing. It's green, money, with white letters. Less thinking, more doing. It's a t-shirt I got. I had it made. I wear it. It's important. So he does, though, give you some like relief, where he talks about that the ability to quit thinking and just do it. It is a muscle. It must be built. It must be trained. It's literally a skill that you have to develop and practice and perfect. So to be able to quit thinking and just doing creation, any kind of creation. If you want to create more income, you want to create a better relationship with your spouse, you want to create a better work environment, you want to create a book, whatever, something you want to create means you have a thought and it needs to get out into the physical plane. But it can't stay up here. It has to come out. You have to do something. You have to take action. Okay. Thoughts and ideas, there's no physical reality to them until you actually do them. Right? See, again, it's so simple. Not always easy, but just simple. So, and if it's not right, you'll know fast. You won't sit there and be like, yeah, that emoji, the thinking emoji, that one, I hate that one. It drives me nuts. I use it, but like, it's irritating. It's like, stop thinking, dude. So you're not going to make every shot you take, period. So for those of you waiting to get it right, and you're in this place of perfectionism, I've gotten caught there too. When you get stuck there, you got to recognize, like, if you look at baseball, batting average, then average batting average, the normal batting average in baseball is 300, which means what? It means you fail 70% of the time. Basketball is even worse. Babe Ruth, strikeout king, home run king, exact same time. Okay, the successful people fail. They fail a lot. They fail often, but they consequently win too. Okay, so Gretzky, right? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. He missed still more. I mean, that's hockey. You know how hard it is to get a puck in that little thing? Okay, that's hard. Okay, you're going to miss way more than you're going to do. So you have to quit thinking and you have to start doing, period. Grant then goes on to talk about that life literally depends on you succeeding every day. So if you haven't read Sell or Be Sold lately, you need to reinforce that. Production yields happiness. There's a whole chapter on this. So the thing, though, is how do I create my life depends on winning mindset? Because that's what's missing from a lot of us. I know it's been, I don't always have it. I'm just going to be honest, right? Why not? I'm just going to be me, right? I'm just following, right? My life depends on winning. Is that your mindset? Sometimes. But what happens when you go off the rails? What happens when it's not? And you get complacent. You rest on your laurels. Okay? That too is a mindset that you have to develop. And what I loved about this is it builds momentum. So you get a win, you need to get another one. You need to get it quick. And another one. And another one. And start stacking. Okay? You got to stack your wins, and that builds momentum. And it's like a flywheel, just stores energy. Right? Okay? And then threat. This is key to motivation. You're either moving towards something that you want or you're moving away from something that you don't. And how do you parlay those two together? You need to have a threat in the environment. That's the quote. There needs to be a threat in the environment in order to get somebody, or in order for somebody to be propelled to go. There needs to be a threat in the environment in order for somebody to be propelled to go. That uneasy feeling, the threat, is actually healthy. When I heard that, I'm like, whew. I have that uneasy feeling like every day. So, and while Jarrod is talking about this uneasy feeling, and Grant just sitting there nodding his head, right? And I'm like, whew, okay. That slight bit of anxiety or paranoia or feeling, whatever you want to call it, Grant says walking into a cage with a dog, that edge, that little bit of edge is required to get people to produce. Man, that was so liberating for me. I'm like, it's good because I got that feeling almost every day. Okay. So there's 2 ways to get the uneasy feeling and develop the muscle. Do new stuff you're not comfortable with, which brings us back to that other thing we were talking about earlier, right? And then perform stuff that's below your pay grade. That's mundane and tough at the highest level. So I just want you to start thinking about that right now at work. What are some new things you can do in your job, whatever it is that you do, that would be uncomfortable, challenging, get you out of your comfort zone, and push you, right? But then also, what are some things that like are below your pay grade? Picking up trash, right? Bussing tables. Like if you're like I actually had people, like I was a waiter and in a pretty high-end restaurant for a while, and I would bust my own tables because the busboy was, and I'd still tip my busser, but like I'd do it, and the other servers were like, dude, that's not your job. I'm like, dude, the faster I clean this thing up, the faster I get another table and the more money I make. So why wouldn't I help this dude out? Right? Mundane, it's tough, it's difficult. There's a story about, I don't know if you know who this guy is or not, but Grant interviews him on Power Players about 9 months ago. David Goggins. Okay. This guy is classic at doing things that are below his pay grade, that's mundane and tough. That is where you find out who you are. It goes right back to that, right? So find some things that you can do at work today, tomorrow, that are below your pay grade, mundane, challenging. Guarantee you that will build some confidence. We then come back to money. We start talking about, or Grant does at least, start talking about frugality. Grant says that being frugal will get you to a certain place, and then it traps you. Holy smoke. You got about a page and a half left on these notes. Thank you guys for sticking with me. For those of you who've been here for the whole time, it's fantastic. Appreciate it. So frugal will get you to a certain place, and then it traps you. So production is greater than saving. Okay, production is greater than saving, but don't have more going out than what's coming in. So you handle that first, then produce. Make sense? Again, simple, not always easy, but it's simple. That's what I love about this guy. It's so simple. It does require discipline that a lot of people don't have. Discipline first, produce like crazy second. Third thing is then put the production results into an asset that's going to pay you forever. So your secret to financial freedom and security is in this, right? Just do it one more time for good measure. Production first, saving second. Don't have more going out than what's coming in. Produce like crazy, and then put the production into an asset that's going to pay you forever. In Grant's case, it's multifamily. In my case, it's Cardone Capital, which is also multifamily. That's the recipe for real freedom. Real freedom. So when you are 80, I'm going to give you the same exercise that Jarrod gave to Grant. Think about this. When you're 80 and you look back over your life, what will you be most proud of as a business person? You can do it for other walks of life too, but focus on that for a second. What will you be most proud of as a business person? And what Grant goes in to talk about is he says, I know I've underestimated what could happen the whole time. In what ways are you underestimating you? Take that one to bed with you. Just give that to your subconscious tonight before you go to sleep. In what ways are we underestimating ourselves, Mr. Subconscious? Say it to yourself. Self, in what way am I underestimating me? Then go to sleep. See what kind of answers you come up with in the morning, right? How do you know if you're on purpose? Great response here. Look at what you're doing now. Is your why or your purpose so big that whether or not you win or lose, someone gives you 10 million to go away, or they take everything you've got from you, you still show up tomorrow? That's how you know you're on purpose. Because a lot of people, if like you win the lottery and somebody like hands you a bag of $10 million, you're like, I quit. I'm going to go do something else. It means you're probably not on purpose. How do you know if you're a slave? This is a great question. This is great. How to know if you're a slave? When you're doing it just to pay the bills. Whatever it is you're doing, if it's just to pay the bills, whatever those bills are, if you're only doing what you're doing, and there's people at all levels that are just paying the bills. Right? You ever seen like I'm not going to drop anybody, I'm not going to bus drive anybody, but have you ever seen a performer, whether that's a musician or an actor, and you know that they took that gig just for the money? Not for their love of the performance, not for their love of the craft, not because they know when they get in front of that audience that they're going to like change somebody's life or move somebody in a certain way, or right. I mean, they're out there, right? We don't need to start name dropping. That's jacked up, but right. I know you're thinking of somebody. I am. When you're just paying bills, slave alert, right? So wrapping this thing up, the Grant Cardone Net Worth 2020 interview. Grant says, don't hate up, look up, and work up. And everybody that's above him, nobody above him hates on him. Notice that. Pay very, very close attention. Nobody above him hates on him. Okay. So let the haters hate. It's good for us, he says, because when they're doing that, they can't be creating their own game. You can't reach your true potential while talking about Grant at the same time. So for anybody, when you catch yourself, and this is for you, this is for me. Like there are people out there, I don't want to, I won't name, but like that sometimes like rub me the wrong way. It takes about 20 minutes in Twitter for me to be like, dude, what the hell, right? Think about it. Where have you been offended? Where have you found yourself hating on somebody or something or some, whatever side, let's just use the political spectrum as an easy, low-hanging fruit example. When do you catch yourself hating on somebody? The only person that you're hurting when you do that is you. And the only person I'm hurting when I do that is me. Okay? So let's just internalize it. You can't reach for your true potential while hating on somebody else at the same time. It's one or the other. And if that's the case, then you got to figure out what you need to do within you to just start loving that person instead, or just letting them go. Because they're wasting your energy. You hating on them, it's sucking your energy. You're wasting your energy. It's not them. You're blowing your energy out that could be directed to something significantly more productive and effective. I'm just thinking about the whole political spectrum right now. It's like everybody, like there's so much like anger and hate, and it doesn't do nothing for nobody on both sides, right? Knock it off. Start working towards producing something. Okay. So, final thing. They talked about 10X Growth Conference. I've been to all three now. Every single one of them is a life-changing event on multiple levels. So what Grant wants you to get out of it, if you decide to go, call me for tickets. If you decide to go, 818-427-5188, call me for tickets. If you decide to go, subliminal marketing, if you decide to go, what Grant wants from you when you go in, this is what he wants for you to have. You walk into the arena, Mandalay Bay, walk in, take one look around, and you're like, okay, this is important. And you immediately start paying very, very, very close attention. because you recognize this is important. You start feeling the possibilities. I'm going to choke up. You start feeling the possibility. What is you feel what's possible for you. There's going to be 12,000 people there all having this exact same experience, and you get to be there with them, having your experience. You get to share that, feeling the possibility. Or you feel the fear if you don't move towards the possibility. So he wraps the whole thing up. I'm going to leave you with this. If you don't work on the possibility, so think about what's possible for you. Take a moment. What's possible for me? For you? What is possible? You. What is possible for you? Think about it. Now, if you don't work on that, then you will be consumed by the liabilities. That might be another t-shirt altogether. Possibilities or liabilities. Yeah, that'll be another t-shirt. Possibilities or liabilities. Okay. So that was one page. What'd you guys get out of this thing? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages of type notes from watching two friends of mine pick each other's brain for an hour and 7 minutes. So what are you going to get out of it? What messages are they going to have for you? Come back to either this video or shoot me a message. Leave a comment. Wherever it is you're watching this, leave a comment after you've gone back and watched it yourself. Now, if you're on my blog, cardonesolutions.com, that I've got the entire video up there. All these notes are there for you. In fact, I'll paste it in comments right now. I think I posted it before, but let me just put it in comments. Here you go. Okay, check that out. Leave a comment on that of what you got out of it. Top 3 things. Okay. Anything I can help with? Tickets to GrowthCon, 818-427-5188. Thank you so much for watching tonight. Appreciate you being here with me. I know we went long and hard and deep. Hey, Dave Pignato. Good to see you, buddy. Royce, nice to see you, man. Thank you also for being here. Have a great week, you guys. Put some of this stuff into action. Just because we talk about it doesn't mean anything until you actually implement it. Okay. Have a great week. See you next.